Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for the final alpha for update 100 of hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start, as always, with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So, what do we have for you this week? Well, originally this was supposed to be the final release of this update, but a number of things came up with this past week's alpha. As I'd mentioned last week, I was trying out some different methods of video playback for the ItemSpawner, which had some loading hiccup problems, namely freezing the whole application for like a third of a second every time you loaded a video. Well, I did some more research, I talked to a bunch of people, got a new solution, but because I had another whole week to work and get some stuff out for you, I made a ton of progress on our new ItemSpawner, and so it is here for you to play around with and give a shot. So let us dive in. Let's take a tour of what we've got working here. Obviously, it actually has some spawning panels for it now. We can actually grab these sort of side handles and move it up or down. I'm eventually going to make it save its height that isn't in yet. You can also just use these buttons if you don't want to reach forward for that or can't conveniently reach. But let's take a look at all of its new features. There is a whole bunch of them. It has been a tremendous amount of work. So I showed off the sort of splash page video last week, so we'll skip that. We'll go right into Firearms. So let us take a look at what we have got here. Functionality for having a new tag is now in. What this basically means is that every time I add new content to the game for various sorts of updates, I can sort of define in a separate sort of manifest what is new for a given update. So I can just add this update 100 tag here, and we can see all of the different guns that were added over the alphas for this update. Let's pull the APS out. That's looking nice. If we go over to the details panel here, we can see that we have, like the classic ItemSpawner that a lot of people like, we've got the sort of image for the main item. We've got all of its relevant tags here showing up on the right. We have related objects that we can just click to spawn, so I can just grab the APS here and very quickly just go bup, 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 spawn everything I need. Oops, well, that's not the right suppressor. I bet I have a data file messed up there. Gonna have to fix that. It's always something. It's always something. Wonderful. So that is now in. In addition, you will notice that there are these 5 wonderful colored icons up here above the APS. Color-coded and also symbol-coded. What I can now do is I can tag this as being a favorite in one of those groups by toggling that on. And when I click on favorites here now, I'll have a group F1 Red Hot Dog, which will just show me everything in that group. And so if you want to just keep yourself some sort of, obviously this isn't like saving a loadout or something like that, but if you know there's just like a couple guns that you just come back every single update, or that's what you just love running, and don't want to use the eventual sort of vault functionality that will be in here in some form for them, that's how the favorite groups will work. So yeah, obviously we've got, same as before, categories, subcategories, set size, era. I fixed pretty much all of the bugs involving. Some things still have, like, these are still tagged as none for their action, which is kind of appropriate for the Graviton Beamer, actually. But there's still going to be lots of metadata to fix, but the actual sort of, like, core sets of them are all working pretty much as intended. We've got some more cool stuff here, so let's just say, let me pull this stuff off of here. So let's say that I actually no, let's pull a new weapon out here. Yeah. So one of the other things that you can do is, let's say we pull up a firearm here, like this L85A2, is that in addition to just having the sort of related objects that I've configured for this, we can go over, say, to the ammo page here and click select matching tags to held object. So if I click this, it is going to pull up. It's going to basically add any tag that is associated with this that is also present here, with exception to like new favorites in category, because that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't deliver desirable results. So I can just get all of the STANAG compatible magazines here. I bet a lot of you probably didn't know that there's like 100 round casket mag in here, which just on a bullpup just looks silly. It also clips in a little bit. Meh. And also we can go over to attachments here as well. Hit the same button. So this is going to give us everything that's muzzle or Picatinny, which isn't a ton of use right now. The attachment mount tag system that the FVR objects use isn't the same one that the guns use. It's basically muzzle, Picatinny, Russian, or bespoke, with all of the bespoke attachments sort of bundled together in one. It's an artifact of older decisions. I'm going to be swapping that out for a more specific one, so if you pull out something that has sort of paired bespoke attachments, this will eventually be able to help you. It doesn't right now, but that will be fixed later. Oh yeah, we haven't pulled out my favorite attachment yet. Can this go? Yeah. Ha! Perfect. Ready for battle. Wonderful. And of course, as you can see here with our sort of panel in the middle, I did add text like was requested. I know it's a little, so those of you on Gen 1 headsets are gonna be like, what is this for ants? But remember, you can just actually get your face closer to it, but also just go back to show as list, which has significantly larger text if you would like to use that instead of the pictures. So hopefully, between those two options, that pleases everyone. I'm sure it won't, but I can hope anyway. What else? What is? Oh, and this is firmly in the sort of preview category of things here, because this is so far only tagged in for exactly one gun. Which is, of course, our 1911. You will notice there is a category on the side here called Tutorials, with coming soon, and this has a list of relevant videos or diagrams for this weapon. I don't have this hooked up for like the whole rest of the spawner. Ooh, arm swinger jump. Just for this gun to test it out, but I can say just click on one of these to load an automatic handgun. Ensure the magazine well on the underside of the gun is empty, and insert the magazine into it. This is located in the grip for most handguns, but for a rare few is forward of the grip. So yeah, so I can now associate various sorts of tutorial videos, and like the splash page, the narration is separate from the video, so they don't have to be the same length, and this also allows me to load conditional narration based upon your given platform. So the fact that I'm on classic simulation controls on Vive ones loads a specific text and a specific audio narration that's relevant to me for this given object. But if you were running, on a Quest 2 in Streamline controls, you would get the same video, but you would get different, or even possible. Actually, no, video always has to be the same because the way I have this set up. But if it's just loading an image diagram, that can even be different platform to platform via a sort of tutorial block system that I wrote. And modders who add content into the game will also be able to load tutorial blocks if they want. Someone will have to actually write a loader for that, but it should be fairly straightforward. But basically, they'll be able to reference just via string ID any of their custom ones or any of the ones built into the game. They'll be able to just look at any existing firearm asset in the game and know which ones to load. So yeah. Whew. So I think that's it. I think that's all of the new features. Definitely, as I said this week, just give this a run. This new one is just located here in the Proving Grounds and back over in the indoor range. There's still a couple glitches. As I said, the favorite stuff, you can set them, but this doesn't get saved to your save files end. So if you set a bunch of things as favorites right now and then reload the game, they'll all be wiped out. I haven't gotten a chance to write that into the save file yet. I have to do that very safely. And then similarly, the tutorial stuff is, as I said, it's only on our 1911A1 Classic, but that will be getting filled in. And I need to add one more page over here for now, which is going to be the help page that will allow you to actually look up all of these videos, because some of them aren't necessarily associated with a, with a specific asset. Some of them are just about like, here's how to use your quick belt slots and things like that. So that's all under production. I'm getting a bunch of wonderful help from our Discord mod Willikis, who is doing all sorts of doing all the filming for me while I write and record and make tedious metadata for all of these things. So it's all coming along great. So yeah, so that is our update. Anyway, I'm gonna jump out of VR now. So yeah, tons of item spawner and metadata work. It has been, it's been harrowing. This is going to be another one of those like big downloads, because I actually changed just tons of metadata on tons of guns and mags and cartridges and all of that. If you make mod content, definitely check in with the folks who have written the various sort of mod loaders, or just with the community in general on the Discord, to make sure you know what you're going to have to plug in to your like item spawner IDs and FVR objects to make sure that they get read by the spawner. Speaking of that, the one big change is, you know how in the item spawner, when you have a primary object and then you've got a bunch of sort of secondaries that have been manually associated with it, like use this suppressor, it goes with it and it's sweet, and use this mag and things like that. That has, up until this point, required a direct reference to the other item spawner ID, which is a challenge for people loading custom packages, because they don't have those references to stuff that's built into the game or is in other packages, which oftentimes forces modders to like glom things together into one super package instead of a bunch of atomized things. I've now added a second array there for, it's like secondaries underscore string ID or something like that. So if you just have the ID of the secondary that you want to reference, you can now do so without a direct reference. You can just put in a sort of list of strings. It will be parsed automatically and correctly by the game, only in the new item spawner. But it does mean that you can now actually reference those things directly and have them show up and populate, and still curate that manually, instead of it being something that like has to function automatically via tags, which is not always desirable. Sometimes you want to curate and have an item presented exactly with, stuff that you want to go with it. And so this should enable you to do that way more cleanly. So it's one of those things that it's I built so many systems in H3 around enums instead of strings, because everyone was like, strings are brittle, strings are unperformant, which is true, and like the way that you end up manipulating them and adding them can be a big performance waste, and a mistype is really easy to, they can be really bug prone. But it definitely made a whole bunch of systems way harder to have arbitrary content be added, secondarily by the community. And so more and more systems that I work on now, I've just sort of like gone back to just like, I'll just use a string there, because it just makes it way more just freeform for things to be added, albeit I have to be a lot more careful as a result. It's just funny how those things work. But anyway, yeah, so that's all working. But yeah, try out the new spawner. As I said, it's in the proving grounds. It's in the indoor range. Tell me if the video doesn't work. I would really like to know that, because this is a brand new piece of middleware. I've never put it in, but all of my tests show that it works super well. It's really high performance. And it's working super smoothly. And just know that there's still there are missing UX features. Like, I'm going to add separable volume buttons right on the video player that allows you to raise or lower the narration volume and the sort of video playback volume as well, relative to each other, or mute them. So if you don't want my narration, you just want to see the operations on screen, you can do so, etc. And I'm just going to continue working away on this, and then assuming there are no big sort of breaking or blocking issues and that the middleware is all working, this update will go live to the main branch next week. So this definitely gives any of you out there, any modders out there who are... Oh, and also there is... there's a mod content pool. I think I mentioned that last week. That's in there. Anyway, just talk to the other modder community folks. You'll know what to set in your data files to get them to be seen as correctly as possible for this new spawner as it goes in. I'm not going to be subbing this in over the old one yet. There's still a bunch of functionality that still needs to be built. I'm rounding out the help system. I need to figure out how I want the vault to function. I don't think I want it to be as separated as it is. I want it to be the sort of thing where if you just have a saved configuration for a weapon, that just shows up right there on its detail page in some way, but I need to figure out how I want that to work. So yeah, it might end up actually just being like a tag, like I make a mutant copy of it. Yeah, I need to figure out what's because there's a bunch of ways that the old vault was written that worked real fine with like 20 things saved, but some people have just gone wild with it and they've saved hundreds and hundreds of vaulted guns and some poor performance with some of it. So I need to, is its whole own area of investigation that needs a lot of like patient considered design before I lock it in, because then people will start saving things immediately and I don't want to break their data or have to throw it away. So I want to make sure that's all perfect. So well, enough of my over-caffeinated ramblings. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy playing with this alpha, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.